This video looks at two questions. How many seeds are in this apple? And what is the EBA all about? So first of all, take a look at this apple and see if you can count the seeds within it. Okay, keep that number in your mind and we'll come back to the seeds in a little while, after we spent some time thinking about the EBA, which, if you don't know, stands for the Eastern Baptist Association. The EBA is one of the 13 associations of Baptists together, which represents about 2,000 churches across England and Wales. The EBA serves in the east of England, through the ministry of more than 170 Baptist churches in Essex, Cambridgeshire, Suffolk and Norfolk. Churches of all shapes and sizes, in rural, urban and coastal settings, in villages, towns and cities, all here for one reason, for God's mission in the east of England. In words and actions, sharing the gospel message and proclaiming God's coming kingdom, each church bearing the fruit of faith. Imagine for a moment that your church is like an apple, and that the other churches in the EBA are like apples too. One of the things we know about apples is that they don't just appear out of thin air. You don't walk down the street and see an apple hovering in front of you, all on its own like the grin of the Cheshire Cat. As Newton found out, that isn't the way apples work. No, if you want an apple, you need an apple tree. And on the apple tree you find lots of apples, all connected together by the branches of the tree. And in the EBA, it's the same. Our churches aren't meant to exist in isolation from one another, independent from one another. If we are to be effective and fruitful, we need to be in relationship for God's mission in the east of England. But we're called not just to be in relationship with one another, but with God himself. In Psalm 1 we are told that those who delight in God and his word are like trees planted by streams of water, like trees which yield their fruit in season. These trees are not simply surviving, these trees are thriving and flourishing, bearing the fruit of the Spirit. And that's why we long to be a family of healthy churches in relationship for God's mission in the east of England. Now let's go back to the first question. How many seeds are in this apple? If you answered 9, you would be right, and wrong, because you are only counting the seeds you can see at the moment. Did you think about what is hidden inside each and every one of those seeds? Consider for a moment this one seed. What happens if we take it somewhere and plant it? As the sun shines and the rains fall, and it starts to emerge from beneath the soil, and week after week, month after month, year after year, it gets taller and stronger until one day it bears branches full of apples, apples full of seeds, and each seed with its own apple tree hidden inside. You can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the apples in a seed. And in each of our churches are people just like those seeds. People like you with God-given potential and a calling to share the gospel in words and actions. Disciples making disciples, and churches planting new congregations. And that's how and why we believe that our purpose in the EBA is to be growing healthy churches in relationship for God's mission in the east of England.